All right, today is the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles. The Feast of Tabernacle is a 8-day feast. High Holy Day is in the first day, which is a holy convocation, and then the 8th day, which is a holy convocation. Which are all Sabbaths, the first day and the 8th day. The 8th day is called the great day of the feast. So the 8th day is called the great day of the feast, which is the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, which we will be getting into that. We will be going into that. So the Feast of Tabernacles, which is the Booths, the Feast of Booths. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 1. The purpose of this high holy day is to celebrate and commemorate with the Lord our God, Jesus Christ, the God of the Bible, who appears throughout the whole Bible, the volume of the book from Genesis all the way to Revelations, has done for the nation of Israel. When we left the land of Egypt and we dwelt in the wilderness and had an extended stay in the wilderness, which was 40 years. The Lord our God provided shelters. He gave us instructions on how to build structures that would protect us. Okay. And this is a memorial to commemorate. The feast is a memorial to commemorate that event. We became a nation in the land of Egypt. This is what we're going to start going into. The last nation to be established on earth. Okay. Let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 1 verse 7. Read.
And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly.
Okay, so this is in the land of Egypt. We started to grow as a people. When we first came into the land of Egypt, there were 70 of our people that first came into the land of Egypt. Now, from a number of 70, within a short period of time, there was an abundance of Israelites that became a nation of people in the land of Egypt. Read verse 7 one more time.
And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly.
Read on.
And multiplied.
Come on.
And waxed exceeding mighty.
Okay, waxed exceeding mighty in size. In size, we were enormous. So we were now not just a couple of people or 70 people, but we were a great multitude of people. We were a nation of people, in so much that the Egyptians were worried about the size of the nation of Israel because they were a nation and we was a nation, so we became a national security threat within the land of Egypt because of our size. Read on.
And the land was filled with them.
And the land was filled with them. This is something that you should understand in the time period that we are living in. When you become so big and you living amongst another nation, the other nation is worried about their resources. They start getting worried about if we continue to take care of these people who are not from our land, then it's not going to be enough resources for us. It's not going to be enough jobs. It's not going to be enough food. It's not going to be, enough. And then as we're going to see in the book of Exodus, they were also worried about us joining with their enemies and being so massive in the land, they consider that to be a hazard to their nation. Same thing is going on today. Okay, they call it immigration or illegal immigration. Do everybody understand that? So what's the problem? The problem was that we didn't have a home. That's the problem. We became a nation in a place that was not ours. And that's what the problem was. And this is what the Feast of Tabernacles is all about. We left Egypt, and we left Egypt homeless. We didn't have a home. And when we were in Egypt, we were homeless because the land of Egypt was not our home. Verse 8, read.
Now there arose up a new king over Egypt.
Read on.
Which knew not Joseph.
Read on.
And he said unto his people.
Okay, the reason why he knew not Joseph, because Joseph was famous in the land. Because of Joseph, we was blessed in the land of Egypt. and we were comforted in the land of Egypt because of the Israelite Joseph. This Pharaoh that knew not Joseph, meaning that he refused to recognize Joseph as a great man in Egypt as he was. He refused to continue to give the children of Israel's concessions within the land of Egypt. He considered the children of Israel to be a threat. Okay, so this new king that knew not Joseph, which is Ramses, read on.
Verse 9.
Read on.
And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Okay, so they were concerned. Okay, so what had happened, this is where the afflictions start coming in. This is where the word of God that was spoken to Abraham start to come to pass, that we were afflicted. Okay, they made it where we were not empowered. They made sure that we never got in a position of power within the land of Egypt. And to make sure people get not in a position of power, you enslave them. So that's what they did. They put the nation of Israel in slavery and put them at the bottom of the totem pole in the land of Egypt. Let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15, and we're going to read verse 13. Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13. Read.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
That's what we were just reading about in Exodus chapter 1, verse 7 and 8 and 9. That land that was not ours was the land of ancient Egypt. Okay, so now that's the point. Everybody stay focused on that. Okay, that's the point, that this was not our land. Okay, we were homeless in the land of Egypt. We didn't have a land that was our land. The homes that we were living in were borrowed homes. They were sojournings. That's called a temporary stay. We didn't have anything that was our own. Okay, we were landless, homeless. Read that one more time, verse 13.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
Stranger, what that word is called today is foreigner, immigrant, okay. Which is foreigner. So we were from another place, and we were not from Egypt, okay, and we were strangers in Egypt. Read on.
And shall serve them.
Okay, and they put us in captivity, and we became their slaves. Read on.
And they shall afflict them 400 years.
And we were afflicted for 400 years. Read on.
And also that nation whom they shall serve,
which was the Egyptians. Read on.
Will I judge.
Will the Lord do what?
Judge.
That's what we was talking about when we were going through the Torah blessing. Okay. In that nation will I judge. And the Lord rose up. The man Moses was the man of God, to go into the land of Egypt to deliver the nation of Israel out of the land of Egypt with the power of God, to take them from a land that was not theirs and to give them a land that was going to be theirs, to give them a home. Okay, read on.
And afterward shall they come out with great substance.
And afterwards what?
Shall they come out with great substance.
Read on.
And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace.
Okay, so we did not have a home. We were strangers in a land that was not ours. We was homeless. So the Lord delivered us from the land of our enemies, and he promised us a home. It was called the Promised Land. It was going to be our land, a land of our very own. So now, in between getting to the land that the Lord our God promised us, we had to go through the wilderness. And we had an extended stay in the wilderness, so we were basically living on the streets. Everybody understand that? So while we were homeless and living on the streets, the Lord our God provided temporary homes for us. And this is what the Feast of Tabernacles is all about. To remember, to always make us remember that we were without a land. We were without a home. We, as a nation of people, we were homeless. Do everybody understand that? Let's go to the book of Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus chapter 23. In verse 42. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 42. Read.
And ye shall dwell in booths 7 days.
Read on.
All that are Israelites born,
read on,
shall dwell in booths.
Again, because the Israelites need to remember, once we came into the land and have a home, the Lord wanted us to never forget that it was not always like that. We always didn't have a land to be in. We always didn't have homes in a land that was our land, our country. So the Lord caused Israel once a year, every year, to go back in those booths to remind them about that temporary place of living that we were living in the wilderness, to remind us that we didn't have anything. And the Lord our God protected us and put us in booths even though we didn't have anything. Verse 43, read it again.
That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths.
Read on.
When I brought them out of the land of Egypt.
Read on.
I am the Lord your God.
So again, it started off saying that your generations may know. The Lord wanted all generations to know that we didn't have a home, okay, and he caused us to dwell in booths. Okay, this was very important to one particular generation as time went on, in the process of time, from the time of Moses all the way up, because they found themselves in the same situation that the children of Israel was in the land of ancient Egypt. They were taken out of their land and they were brought into another land as slaves. And then when they finally was freed from that slavery and was allowed to go back into the land, this is why the Feast of Tabernacles was so emotional to them, because they spent all that time in Babylon without having a home, without having a land, being foreigners and immigrants and strangers in a land that was not theirs. And then they begin to be able to go back into the land that was theirs. And when they went into those booths, it was very emotional for them. So what did the Lord our God say? It said that your generations may know. All generations had to know about the Feast of Tabernacles. All generations had to know what happened when the Lord brought us out of the land of Egypt, that we didn't immediately go to that place that the Lord our God promised us, that we were strangers in a land that was not ours. We had to understand how that felt not to have something that was our own, how it felt to be a foreigner, how it felt to be a foreigner in a land full of Egyptians, and they were looking at you and treating you like you're not the same as us. The Lord wanted to make sure that all Israel felt that throughout the generations. Let's go to the book of Nehemiah chapter 8. Nehemiah chapter 8. And we're going to start at the 13th verse. So all generations did know that the Lord our God caused Israel to dwell in booths for 7 days. And they understood why we dwelled in booths for 7 days. Do everybody understand that? And this is the reason why we don't dwell in booths for 7 days now, or for 8 days now, excuse me. You got ignorant people, okay? And again, the truth is not in the world. The Lord he tells you that completely. Okay, even the spirit of truth in whom the world cannot receive. Okay, they try to be Jews and they call themselves the people of God and they call themselves Christians. And they read the Bible and they act like they're keeping high holy days and they don't know nothing about the high holy day.